Anyway, thank you very much. It looks like we are ready to go here. Everybody is signed in. So at this point in time, it's a little after 9:30. We will call the June meeting of the Wood County Board of Supervisors to order. The roll has been taken, and I would call on Supervisor Minor for the invocation. I'd ask the body to please rise as Trent approaches the podium, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Would you join me in prayer? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us and our ability to come together today to discuss and act on the business of Wood County. We ask for your continued blessings and guidance so that we may continue to do your will for the people we serve. Be with all those that suffer today, Lord. Give them strength and courage to seek you out and the faith to accept your will. For this, as in all things, we ask this in your name. Amen.
Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, everybody. We have a meeting going here on what might be the only day of summer as it looks out there, but a pretty nice day, and we got everybody here, so hopefully some smiling faces. And with that invocation, I know, Hildy, thoughts and prayers of the whole board are with you in the recovery of your parents. We're pulling for you, okay? So, in there. I guess at this point in time, we could act on the minutes of the previous meeting, and I would look for a motion for acceptance. Motion by Henkel, second by Moody. Any discussion on those minutes? If none, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries. This is probably the shortest county board packet I think that we have ever had in the, 16 years I've been up here, but we have no excusals, no resignations, no appointments, no reappointments, but we do have probably some public comment, including some from a couple of the supervisors. So I will open up public comment. Is there anybody here from the public who would like to speak? Nobody in the back? All right, Mr. Hendler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning I would like to just tell the Board of Supervisors I had the privilege of attending a public health conference back in the middle of May, and the subject matter was rather interesting and it was informative. But the most important thing that occurred at that particular meeting was, I think that we as a county can be very proud of. There were two people. There were only six awards given, but there were two of the people that are with us today. One of them is Supervisor Rosar, who received the award for the Member of the Year, which I think is really substantial out of 72 councils. And the other person was Sue Kupferman, who also received an award, who is the Director of Health Services here in the county, and distinguished service to public health for the year 2013. So I think we can be very proud of our rank and file, and I just wanted to acknowledge that this morning. We have many fine members in our rank and file. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Ask for a round of applause for those people for that. And I'm sure at some point somebody will talk about the accomplishments of the health department, but I will leave that up to somebody else as we go forward. Acknowledgements and recognitions this month. We are going to recognize some of those long-term employees, and we are a people organization, and without those people we do not function. And eventually, if those people don't do a good job, it ends up here at the board, and then in the press, and then we have problems. So without those great people out there doing those jobs, nobody looks very good. So we really appreciate what they do for the county for their years of service. And we will call on those either committee chairs or those department heads to come up and recognize those people. So having said that, Amy Slatter, are you back there, Amy? No? Okay.
Yeah, I should have.
You have 3 of them, I believe. And they should be stacked up right there for you if you want to even...
Okay, Amy actually has the state. They're coming to look at the new building today. That's why she's not here. We have 3 employees. Mary Ann Brown, Sherry Murray, and Cindy Van Meter all started at Edgewater as CNAs. They eventually transferred into the laundry department. They are devoted employees as well as that went as far as volunteering to cut their hours and work only 3 in their department so the laundry department wouldn't be outsourced and to save the county money. They all work very well together and coordinate their vacation and days off so that the laundry department runs efficiently. Congratulations on your many years of service and your devotion to Edgewater Haven.
And Christine, there's some plaques there. Are those people here? Any of them?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're all working.
All right, they're all working. So we will take those back to the facility and make sure, and if you can, make sure they're recognized somewhere there in a public forum, too. I greatly appreciate that. Sheriff Reichert, you are up. Sheriff Reichert has a recognition of Wayne Schultz.
It's a great pleasure of mine this morning to just talk for a moment about Wayne. Wayne is celebrating his 25th year with us at the Sheriff's Department. He's currently our North End investigator and really kind of the coordinator of our North End operations. He does just a great job for us. Manages our office up in Marshfield. Makes sure that communications that need to travel back and forth from Rapids to Marshfield happen, and on top of that, solves a ton of cases. You know, he gets out there. He works very, very hard. He is really relentless in his commitment to his profession and does just a great job for us. I would be totally remiss if I didn't also talk about some of the personal attributes of Wayne. He is perhaps one of the, if not the finest man that I know. He is the most dedicated father that I have ever come across in my years, and his commitment to his family is something that I think we all can learn from, and I know I certainly have, and truly wish that I had some of the attributes that Wayne Schultz does. So Wayne, if you could come up, please. Wayne, this is a plaque on behalf of the County of Wood celebrating your 25 years. I am so proud of you, and I am so proud that I have been a part of your career. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I know Wayne's kept me under control of my snowmobile a couple of times over the years. Vice Chairman Trent Miner, if you would come forward to recognize our treasurer.
I'm asking Karen Kubisiak to come forward if she would. We're celebrating her 35 years in the county, and I told her she had to match me today, so she went home and changed clothes 3 times, she said. And being a gentleman, she looks a lot younger than I am, and I'll be honest, I'm 42, and I'm a gentleman. I won't ask her age, but I'm saying that she started here when she was about 4 years old-ish, somewhere in there. Karen did start with Wood County in 1978 and has spent her entire career in the treasurer's office. The treasurer at the time was Ed Raisin. County board chairman was actually from Central Wood County. It was not a North End or a South End person. It was, anybody know? Jim Lee. Jim Lee from Pittsville was a county board chairman at the time, good friend of mine. Served as town chairman for Town of Wood for many years. She started out at tax lister 1. Guess how much she made? Do you remember how much she made per hour?
$3.25, I think.
$3.26.
26?
Nice try. Thanks for the plug there. And she progressed all the way to deputy treasurer in 1989. She literally has held every job in that office. In 1996, when the then treasurer Sharon Scheidegger retired midterm, Karen applied for and was selected by the county board chairman, anybody remember? Al Reynolds, he was from Marshfield, to serve as a treasurer, where she's been elected to serve ever since. She is how many treasurers have Wood County had?
I seen your sheet.
That's no fair. You're cheating. She is the 19th treasurer from Wood County and the second woman to hold that post. The one thing that stands out to me is the level of service that Karen provides to the residents of Wood County and to other municipal treasurers in the county, which I've seen firsthand. Anytime my wife, who was our town treasurer for quite a few years, had a question, Karen immediately responded and walked her through the issue. During Karen's tenure, much of what is done in her office has been converted from pencil and paper to computers. Tax bills are mostly prepared electronically and processed electronically. Karen oversaw this transition and worked with most municipalities to bring them up to speed. There are still a couple of holdouts. They still do it by hand, but we're working on them too.
Just one?
One would.
Yes.
Okay. One instance really sticks out in my mind is when one municipal treasurer decided to convert to the computer for processing tax payments. He was quite elderly and struggled to get a handle on how it all worked. Harvey Ohm from Auburndale. Karen would literally go to his house, load up the year's tax program on his computer, load it on her computer back at the courthouse, and if any problems came up, they could look at the same screen together. At the end of the tax season, she would again drive up to his house, back all the information up, and upload it into her system. That's not necessary, but it just goes to show the type of person Karen and really her entire office is. It's that type of service that exemplifies both Karen and Wood County employees. So, Karen, on behalf of the county board, congratulations. And here's to another 35 years. Thank you.
Al Bry, Supervisor Bry, if you would come forward for recognition of our highway commissioner.
Doug Passano has 35 years in with the county. I've only known Doug for about 10 years in dealings with my town of Marshfield, but he's always done a good job when asked to help us out. And I've worked with him closely the last year and a half on the HERC committee. And Doug has had some rough issues the last couple of years between the frac sand issue and the transition from union to non-union, and handled the transition and the frac sand issue very professionally. So Doug, if you want to come up and accept your award. Congratulations, and thank you for 35 years of dedicated service.
And Rhonda Kozik from Norwood also has a recognition.
I'm accepting this plaque on behalf of Paul Schaefer this morning. Paul is a receptionist at Norwood. He started at Norwood in 1978 on the DD unit. He was a CNA there with all those residents until 2004. Our long-term receptionist retired, and he took over that position. He does a fantastic job of greeting people at the door. He's kind of the controller of the front door, answering the phone. He takes on extra work and does a real great job up there. We will recognize Paul. We generally have a cake and have a recognition for our long-term employees, so we will be doing that up at the facility. So on his behalf, thank you.
Thank you to those employees, and thank you to those presenters. That's 7 employees, over 200 years of experience, and those are things that you just cannot replace very easily. The perspective that comes through those people in those jobs they perform is not something that happens overnight, obviously, in some cases 35 years worth. So thank you, all of you. That takes us to the packet, which is kind of short this time, and normally is this time of summer. We haven't started the budget process really getting started right about now, so it slims down a little bit. Referrals in the package. There were 6 referrals. All of those went to the Judicial and Legislative Committee, with the exception of the last one, and that dealt with the WCA steering committees. It was referred to the entire Board of Supervisors, and I want to thank you. I've had a number of you who have made requests to be members of those committees. All right, nothing further to do. We'll get into the packet. Executive Committee meeting. Tuesday, June 4th, on page 1. And 2. We did accept the minutes right at the start, didn't we? I know I had the motion second. I wasn't sure, so. I've missed stuff before, so when the clerk kicks me under the table, I have to think about what's going on here real quick. It was gentle. Maintenance monthly letter of comments from June 4th on page 4. 5, the finance department's monthly letter of comments. Supervisor Winch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to ask some questions about the Powers Bluff situation. Have we put together a master plan on what we intend to do there and how we're going to do it? Later on, there's something mentioned in the Parks minutes also about a $250,000 grant. Anyway, the question being is, do we have a master plan?
We have one. I don't know where is it. Al or Trent, do you want to handle that? It's been out of that committee.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, thank you. Yeah, the master plan is we're basically using the Schreiber-Anderson as our starting point. Things may get tweaked as we go along, but that's kind of the starting point. And essentially that plan, the basic synopsis of that plan was move the ski operations from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. That's basically the modus operandi that we're following at this point. The individual tweaks that we go along as funding dictates. And those funding sources are still being worked on.
That plan build, I think, elaborate was done probably, time flies, it was probably 7, 8 years ago now, 6, 7, 8 years ago. The plan, I think we spent, the total cost to do that plan was just under $50,000. It was funded by the Prairie Band Potawatomi, the Ho-Chunk Nation, and the county. It's an extensive plan. It's probably in excess of 100 pages long, maybe 200 pages, and it is available in the Parks office, I'm sure, and if there isn't one there, I'm sure I have a couple laying around on my desk if anybody would like to look at those too. Supervisor Winch.
Well, I've seen that, and then somewhere I have it, I don't know where, but that entire plan, if I remember correctly, was like $6 million.
Yeah, we're not building the condos.
I don't know, I don't remember what all was in it, but I guess the point is, are we going to follow that by the letter, or I guess,
No.
I'd like to have some direction on what our intentions are. Thank you.
Yeah, the big part of that was actually build out of townhomes or condominiums that would be sold, and obviously they were looking at all, possibilities and aspects out there to maximize investment, but no, that's not part of the plan. So, again, goes through the...
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman, it's just going to be a slow process. You're not going to spend $6 million or $2 million if we don't put in the townhomes. We're not going to be spending that 1 year. And this is going to be a slow, gradual grow out. The money's just not there. So it'll be a slow, gradual grow out.
All right, so that probably didn't answer your whole question, but I can get you more details if you want. Page 5, any more questions there? As well as 6, part of the finance summary. Monthly summary by systems on page 7 and 8. Safety and risk management, their letter of comments on 9. Comments from the county clerk on 10. Human resources monthly letter of comments on 11. Veteran service officers report on 13, as well as 14. Amy Slattery's report for Edgewater Haven on 15 and 16. Community Care Central Wisconsin, their minutes from April 24th on 17, 18. Supervisor Roser.
Before we leave the Health and Human Services, I wanted to point your attention to the Public Health Accreditation Board award sheet that's on your at your desk. It was this is a long time coming, and the Health Department has done a lot of work with the support of the Health and Human Services Committee to be awarded this 5-year accreditation status. Sue Kunferman sent me a letter from the CDC director and the Wisconsin powers that be, and just a lot of congratulatory things have been coming into Wood County. So just to follow up on Mr. Hendler's comments this morning, the Health Department really has striven to be very quality, and we should be very proud of the efforts that they've done, and this public health accreditation status really supports the fact that we have a great health department in Wood County.
I believe, I'm not sure, I think we were the first county in There's a couple ahead of us?
There were two that were
Two?
awarded at the same time.
At the same time, but, they were certainly out at the forefront, and it was a monumental effort, so congratulations to all involved. Community care minutes still on 19. And that brings us to page 21 in the packet, and that is a resolution to create a new position. It's out of the Health and Human Services Committee and the Executive Committee.
Resolution 13-6-1 to create one new administrative services 1 FTE at Centralia Center. Fiscal note 2013 budget, function 54420. Anticipated wages and benefits based upon a step 1 for pay grade 3 position is wages $25,470, fringes $18,178 for a total of $43,648.
And I had a motion by Fire and a second by Bry. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? Supervisor Pollock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was at the meeting, so I understand all this, but could somebody just explain the reason for both this one and the next resolution, why they want to fill these positions? I think at least the audience, either here or at home, would be interested in that. Thank you.
Sure. Director Redder, if you want to go to a microphone.
Thank you. I believe most of you are aware that the economic support and our FSET program moved out of the Johnson Hill building at the end of December. And we did that because we were losing some programs, and we were able to reduce a lot of our costs by relocating to the Centralia office. One of the things that we had at the Johnson Hill building was we were contributing pretty significantly to secretarial reception that was shared in that office. With the relocation out, we now need to have an FTE to be able to have a secretarial reception full-time. We waited a period of months to sort of evaluate whether or not we would need a full-time position. We have collected data in terms of the number of calls, number of walk-ins coming in, and at this point in time, we feel that we really do need to have that position, and so that's why the resolution is coming forward. We do have money within our budget to cover the cost of this, and so we would ask that you take a look at this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Just wait 1 second here, we'll get to voting. Cindy only gets to do this like once a year, so I want to make sure we wait till it says vote. If you would please vote. And that resolution passed 19-0. We'll clear the board, and then as soon as we do that, we will get back to the second resolution from Health and Human Services and the Executive Committee. It's on page 23 of the packet.
Okay, this is Resolution 13-6-2 to create a Northern Consortium Income Maintenance Manager position, 1 FTE, and to amend the 2013 Human Services Department's budget. Fiscal note, amend the 2013 budget, function 54420. Anticipated wages and benefits based upon a step 1 for pay grade 8. Wages $43,555. Benefits $21,031 for a total of $64,586.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. Do I have a motion to that effect? Motion by Hendler, second by Fire. Any discussion on this resolution?
I believe that Mr. Pollock asked for...
On both of them?
on this
Okay.
resolution.
Kathy, if you'd go back to the microphone.
Just to sort of refresh your memory, in the last biennium, the budget directed income maintenance services that were historically done by single counties to form into consortiums. And Wood County joined with 11 other counties and is called the Northern IM Consortium. We have operated extremely lean as we received a pretty dramatic cut in the funding to provide those services. We have about $3.5 5.5 supervisors, I believe, throughout the consortium. Many of those supervisors have other duties in their home counties. And we have attempted to operate without a single manager that looks at everything, so that the supervisors have been reporting to the directors, and the directors have been making some operational decisions. We're about to enter into a new phase with the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. The state is projecting about a 60% increase in our business starting in October. They are also allocating a significant amount of dollars to each consortium as well. As the directors have sort of analyzed and looked at the consortium and our model, it's become very apparent that we have to have a single manager that looks at all aspects of our business and our service delivery, which is why we are now at the point of requesting an economic support manager. For those of you that may be unaware, Wood County is the lead county in this, which means we have the contract, we hold the contract with the state, and then we have individual contracts with our partners. In addition to that, all of the fiscal dollars come to us from the state, which we then disperse out in that. Each of the partners has agreed that we would use both state and federal dollars to cover the cost of the position, so we are not asking for any tax levy. So we're asking you to amend our budget so that we can recruit for this position and hopefully be ready for what we expect to get come October. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any further discussion? Supervisor Fire.
On the bottom of this resolution, on our page, it says, if the funding is eliminated, then the position will, and it doesn't carry on. Is there another sentence or two that goes with that? I would suspect it says that the position would go away. I need to...
That should be there.
Okay.
Good catch. Good catch, Mike. Okay, any further discussion on this resolution? All right, seeing none, please hold it. Vote. Bob, yours working yet? There we go. And that resolution passed unanimously, 19-0. Takes us to minutes of the Wood County Public Safety Committee of May 13th on page 25, 26, 27, 28. Traffic Safety Commission minutes from May 22nd on 29 and 30. Humane Officer Kinney's report from March and April, starting at 31, 32. Then we go to April and May on part of 32 and 33. Page 34 is the coroner's report, his monthly activity report. There's been discussion within that committee. If they want to talk about it, they can at this point, but do we continue with the use or the election of a coroner within our county, or do we go to a medical examiner, which would be a hired position? So that discussion continues as at their meeting yesterday, and it continued to continue. So they're looking at that. If we go to page 37 and pages 37 through 42, our various jail numbers all look very good again. Any questions on any of the public safety aspects? Okay. Minutes of Conservation, Education, Economic Development Committee of Wednesday, May 1st on 43, 44, 45. Monthly report from Jerry Stork on 46, and then we're going to go through a number of reports from Land Conservation and then from University Extension, but we have reports there from Tracy Arnold on 47. We have, like I said, several reports there. We have minutes from Wednesday, June 6th, the Seed Committee meeting on 48, 49, 50, 51. Planning and Zoning Director's report and staff report starting on 52, 53, 54, 5. The Central Housing Consortium, the public hearing minutes from February 12th on pages 56 through 59, 56 through 59. The UW Extension reports from Pete Manley, starting on 60, and his different people reporting to that department. So his and Matt Lifford, 60, 61, and all the way through 67. I'll give you a chance to go through those and see if you've made any notes. '68, there was a briefing there on contract options that we've worked with within that department for many years. Page 69, minutes of the Judicial and Legislative Committee of May 22nd, as well as page 70. Monthly letter from and report from Corporation Counsel Kastenholz on 71. Pete, I want you to know I did read your minutes. I like the part about the vacation, so I just wanted you to know that I actually read those. So if nobody else read them, a little bit of humor down there near the bottom of the page. Although we're going to be checking to see if you're really there, just to make sure.
Maybe with the comment, you could ask for clarification on the wet order. Never heard of it before.
That's a little southern phrase.
Well,
Got to keep them honest. I'm sure you will there, Jerry.
There goes the north and south thing again.
We have several notices of injury and claim, 72 to 75, basically, for your reading enjoyment. 76, the child support monthly letter to the committee on 76. Any questions there? I see we have our director in the back, too, and they've been doing a heck of a job there, getting us into even better shape than we were before, and I appreciate that. It's been a lot of hard work there. That's been a constantly changing situation at the state level. Joint Legislative Committee, minutes of March 18th on 77 and 78. Minutes of the Highway Infrastructure and Recreation Committee of June 6th on 79, 80, 81, 82, 83. We start getting into reports from them on 84, 5, 86. I was going to tell Fritz when he does a report, you just don't want the one page to say, jobs finished, none. I just got to get something else on that page, but that's 87. But our forestry revenues have been huge the last few years. He's done an exceptional job there, but we got to get more on that page if we're going to do that. It brings us to page 89 in the package, and this is a resolution from the Executive Committee and the Highway Infrastructure and Recreation Committee. It's on page 89, and I'd ask the clerk to please read the resolution.
This is Resolution 13-6-3, to amend the 2013 budget for highway snow removal, 53312, for the purpose of funding higher than anticipated expenditures. Fiscal note to transfer $250,000 from available balance and contingency, 51590, to highway snow removal, 53312. At the time of this request, the funds available in contingency are $445,702. The adjustment to the budget is $250,000.
I have a motion to adopt by Supervisor Minor and a second by Supervisor Hokamp. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? Please vote. And that resolution passed unanimously. Brings us to page 91 in the packet, and that's the minutes of the Wood County Ad Hoc Administrative Committee of Thursday, June 6th, and that was 91, 92, 93. The Space Needs Study Implementation Committee minutes. Supervisor Wagner.
Yeah, can I ask before we
before we get too far along, I noticed in the minutes of the ad hoc committee on the administrative study that the chairman was going to be delivering a report to the committee. This is not the report you're going to deliver, is it? I mean, this is not all we're going to get? Just that? So by accepting this, we're basically ratifying the results of the committee's recommendations.
Our recommendations.
Yeah, I rather enjoyed the comment that maintain status quo. I rather enjoyed that because, well, the question I have to ask is whether or not an internal committee is actually the best way to go about this. There were no citizens from Wood County asked to serve on the committee to give their opinions on this. And personally, I feel that the study was a bit cursory. I understand that the chairman has been through this before. And I understand that, and I understand that this is old hat to you. To some of us, it's not, though. And I don't suspect this subject will go away. Thank you.
Supervisor Henkel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The topic of this ad hoc committee was a little different than the previous one, which was far more wide-ranging. This committee was asked to recommend what this county should look at for administrative function, and at the conclusion of 3 meetings, we had no one on the committee had any other questions they wanted to ask. They had no other information that they wanted to receive. That's why the recommendation is to continue as is under the current economic and personnel situation right now. I at no time treated it as old hat.
I guess just to go further, this is something we can always look at. It's nothing that we can't look at tomorrow or the next day to address Ed's question, or next year or the following year. So, if that's the desire of the board, I have no problem going that direction. If it isn't, I have no problem doing what you're doing. So, whatever you decide. Supervisor Roser?
Just so that I understand, I appreciate the work of that committee, and I enjoyed reading, their discussion points. But if there were someone on this board that felt very strongly about moving in the direction of administrator or a coordinator, then it's my understanding that they have every right to bring a resolution before this board for consideration and discussion. Is that not the way kind of things are done?
It's a true statement. A supervisor can bring a resolution forward to the board. I think the important part is we try to look at every day the most effective way to do things, and I hope we continue to do that. And if it moves that direction, I have no qualms either. So, however we can do things the best way. All right, that was 93. Anybody else there? All right, page 94, we have the Space Needs Implementation Committee of May 29th, and they've been working real diligently as I follow their minutes and meeting schedule, as well as 95. There was a memo at 96A, Ed, and I'm not sure if with those minutes, and I should have moved those forward in the packet prior to, but that's a memo in regard to what happened at that committee, and that's 96A. 96A. On page 97, you have minutes of the University Commission meeting of January 17th. Their meeting of May 7th on 98. Donna or somebody from that committee, you want to give us a brief update on what's going on there, maybe with the land, with the capital improvement, just real quick, because we have a real short meeting going here anyway.
You all know that for some time we've been discussing some student housing at the UW Marshfield Wood campus. There is a building that has been under contract for 40 years with a individual. Then the building has fallen into disarray. It's no longer meeting the needs. The current dean, Pat Stewart, has been very enthusiastic about some student housing. Student Services has been receiving comments from parents who would like to send their children to UW Marshfield, Wood County, but have some concerns about their safety and making sure that they're going to be okay. So there's been discussion for several years about providing some student housing on or near the campus. So this building that the UW Marshfield Wood County Commission has kind of been overseeing for a while, and I mean, we really have been hands-off kind of supervision because it has been under a third-party contract. Well, about, how long ago, Peter? Maybe 6 or 8 months ago, it was turned over to the city and the county. 1 month, one year ago, oh my, how time does fly. A year ago, the city and the county took that building over, and we have been exploring options. So currently where we are is we have a developer out of Iowa, and they have just recently finished an asbestos and lead evaluation of the building in preparation for raising the building. They were kind enough to pay for that evaluation, so the city and the county didn't have to come up with the funds. And we have a meeting that's going to occur after Michelle, who is the administrative person who's overseeing this. And the hope is, in the near future, we are going to transfer that property to the University of Wisconsin Marshfield Wood County Foundation. And then the foundation will assume the responsibility, but we want to have that site ready. So we will be paying for some raising, and we will be paying for some asbestos abatement. We will share those costs with the city, since the city and the county co-own that building at this time. We have the support from the city to move ahead, and we've got the support from the executive committee to move. The UW Commission really has not been involved because the city and the county owns the building, but because I'm chair of the commission, I have been, and I'm also on the UW Foundation, so I've been involved in that. So we're hoping that things are going to move. Bluffstone would like to break ground before the fall, and we would like to have this student housing. I think we're pushing now for somewhere between 80 and 100 belly buttons that this building will encompass, and then have that ready by the fall of 2014 for occupancy. So if you go down Fifth Street, hopefully in the next little while, you'll see that old building having been raised, and then we will turn a site-ready property over to the UW Foundation for the developer to build student housing for our campus. Does that answer your questions?
I just wanted everybody to at least know what was going on. Our Corp Counsel, Kastenholz, has been working diligently with the city. I think we're in lockstep in agreement of where we're going with this. It's just a process to get it done. It's hard to believe how hard it is to get rid of stuff sometimes and move in a positive direction. But we're all in agreement, and we're working that direction. Central Wisconsin State Fair Board Minutes of May 20th on page 99. Supervisor Wagner.
Yeah, I think the board will be relieved to know that there has been a restructuring of the debt of the fair. The agreement was ratified last night by the board, and there is a bookkeeping system in place that is far superior to what existed in the past. And at this moment, we believe that the fair will go off as scheduled this year with everything in place, so there's no need to lose sleep over it, at least at this moment. They've made some great progress, and we're continuing to monitor and make sure that things move forward in a very responsible manner. Thank you.
Thank you. And you and I had talked about that, and I appreciate the oversight and the direction there. Is the plan going forward, Ed, fairly similar to what was laid out here with the operating capital and then a repayment plan of the existing debt over the next X number of years? Okay. Again, that wraps up their minutes. On 102, South Central Library System, Board of Trustees, and that's 102, and that's from April 25th, as well as page 103. North Central ITBEC Board minutes from March 28th on 104 and 105. Their Tourism Committee minutes on 106 and 107, as well as 108. That's the packet, but I'd like to recognize Supervisor Murphy. He had a quick update that I think you wanted to touch base on. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Many of the elected officials in Wood County have been receiving mail from a group purporting to be the Mormon Church, and I've talked to many of you. I called the local Mormon Church and talked to their bishop. This organization is not a part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The bishop that I talked with said that he would be more than willing to talk with anybody that has any questions as far as the Mormon Church is concerned, and they're not being involved in this. So if anybody's interested in this, be more than happy to talk to you after the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bill. Last thing in the packet is the resolution that recognizes those long-term employees. That has been done, but I would certainly like to move this forward. And a motion by Henkel and a second by Alwarden. And is there any discussion on this? I would assume not. I guess a voice vote would be in order. All in favor, please signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, and there are none. That passed unanimously. Next meeting is set for July 16th. Anything else that needs to come before the board today? All right. Oh, Supervisor Clendenning?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, motion to adjourn by Supervisor Clendenning and a second by Supervisor Alwarden. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? And we stand adjourned.